Galactic Empire panics. It's not in our records yet it obliterated the enemy fleet. The cold black of space stretched endlessly in every direction, dotted only by distant stars and the faint glow of far-off planets. Captain Ethan Clark stared out of the bridge viewport of the starship Aurora, his hands resting lightly on the console. The ship was old, not much bigger than a transport vessel, but it had served him and his crew faithfully for years. He had grown used to the quiet life of patrolling the outer edges of the Galactic Empire, far from the chaos of central sectors. Lieutenant Megan Lewis sat beside him, scanning the ship's sensors. Her brown hair was tied back in a simple braid, and her eyes flicked quickly across the console as numbers and signals streamed past. "Captain," she said, "all readings are normal so far. No anomalies in this sector, just empty space." Ethan nodded. "Good. Keep it that way. I like it quiet." Engineer Noah Brooks, the youngest member of the crew, popped his head up from the engineering bay console. "Quiet doesn't pay the bills, Captain. But I'll admit, it's peaceful out here." He grinned. Noah had a cheerful way of seeing the bright side of everything, even when the ship's old engines groaned like tired animals. The Aurora drifted past an unremarkable asteroid field. It was a kind of place where nothing happened for weeks, sometimes months. The crew had long ago grown accustomed to the routine: scan, report, repair, sleep, repeat. But deep in the quiet of space, far from Empire records and regulations, something was about to happen that would change everything. On the other side of the sector, a massive fleet of alien warships appeared on the Empire's long-range sensors. These ships were enormous, far larger than any the Empire had catalogued before. They were dark gray with jagged edges and strange, flickering lights. The alarm in the Empire control room screamed, and commanders scrambled to respond. "What is that?" demanded Admiral Victor Lane, staring at the holographic projection of the fleet. "It's not in any of our records. No previous report mentions anything like this." The Empire had fought many alien races, explored thousands of systems, and catalogued countless starships, but nothing in their archives could explain this new threat. Panic rippled through the command center as the fleet prepared for engagement. Every cruiser, every battleship, and every fighter squadron readied themselves for a battle they had no understanding of. Meanwhile, the crew of the Aurora had no idea that they were about to witness something extraordinary. Ethan's sensors picked up unusual energy readings, faint at first, barely distinguishable from the background noise of space. "What's that?" he asked, leaning forward. Megan adjusted the scanner. "It's not much, some kind of energy spike. But it's moving fast, toward that fleet we're picking up on sensors." "I can't make it out clearly." Noah frowned. "Could be another ship. Could be some kind of anomaly. Or maybe," he hesitated, "maybe something we're not supposed to understand yet." Before Ethan could answer, a deep rumble shook the ship. The Aurora's hull vibrated underfoot as the distant alien fleet was suddenly surrounded by a blinding light. One by one, the enemy ships erupted in explosions, colossal fireballs that lit up the darkness like fireworks. The Aurora rocked from the shock waves, and the crew held tight to the consoles to keep from falling. What just happened?" Megan whispered, eyes wide. Ethan shook his head, his face pale. It wasn't us. We didn't fire anything like that." But the explosions continued, almost as if the enemy fleet was being erased from existence. The Aurora's sensors struggled to keep up, trying to record the destruction. Every ship in the alien armada disintegrated in seconds, their remains scattered across the vacuum of space. Noah's jaw dropped. "Captain, that was unbelievable. How is that even possible?" Ethan stared at the screens, trying to make sense of the impossible. "We need to report this to the Empire. They have to know what's happening." By the time they attempted to make a transmission, chaos had already erupted within the Empire. Commanders shouted over each other, trying to understand why their well-prepared fleet had been destroyed before even engaging the enemy. "Impossible!" one officer cried. "It's not in our records." "Nothing like this exists," the Empire scrambled to respond, sending their fastest ships to the sector where the destruction occurred, but all they found were scattered debris and strange energy signatures that did not match any known weapon. Sensors picked up faint traces of the aurora, drifting nearby, and a single small human vessel became the center of suspicion. Back on the aurora, Ethan made a difficult decision. We can't wait for them to blame us. Let's head toward the nearest Empire station and explain ourselves. Maybe we can clear this up before things get worse. Megan shook her head.
And tell them what?
That we watched the entire fleet get destroyed and had nothing to do with it? Noah laughed nervously. They might not believe it. Honestly, I'm not sure I do either. As they moved closer to the Empire station, they noticed something unusual. Faint energy trails lingered in space, like invisible footprints. Megan studied them closely.
Captain.
These trails are almost like the path of the explosions. It's as if something passed through the fleet, but faster than we can measure. Ethan frowned. Something or someone. We need to be careful. If the Empire thinks we're responsible, they won't hesitate.
The Aurora arrived at the station's outer perimeter hours later.
The station itself was massive, a gleaming structure of metal and light floating silently in space. Alerts blared as the station's defense systems locked onto the small ship. Identify yourselves, boomed a loud mechanical voice. This is Captain Ethan Clark of the Aurora, Ethan replied, trying to keep his voice calm. We are not armed for battle. We have important information about the destroyed fleet. There was a pause. Then, you will dock immediately. All crew must report to Central Command for questioning. Ethan glanced at Megan and Noah. No choice. We follow their orders. Stay calm. Tell the truth and we might get out of this without trouble. Docking was tense. Every movement of the Aurora felt watched. Inside the station, officers in sharp uniforms led them through narrow corridors to a bright, open room filled with holographic displays. Admiral Lane was there, his expression still tight with disbelief. You're the humans? He asked, his voice sharp. Do you realize what just happened out there? Ethan took a deep breath. Yes, sir. We saw it happen. We were nearby but had no part in it. We do not know how the fleet was destroyed. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. And yet the destruction leaves no doubt. Some power intervened. Something capable of wiping out a fleet in moments. We need answers. Megan spoke up. Admiral, we don't have answers. The ship had no new weapons. Nothing like what you're describing, Noah added. The sensors picked up strange energy, but we don't understand it. It happened faster than anything we can explain. The Admiral leaned back, rubbing his temple. This is not in our records. No known technology could do this. And now you, humans, are in the middle of it. Ethan kept his voice steady. We are not a threat. We only want to help, sir. We can give you everything we know. The Admiral's gaze lingered on them for a long moment, measuring, weighing, doubting.
Then he spoke quieter this time. If what you say is true,
then humanity may have done something we did not think possible. Something beyond even our understanding. For the crew of the Aurora, that thought was both exciting and terrifying. They had survived countless patrols, faced dangerous situations before, but nothing like this. Something about this moment felt larger than themselves, larger than anything they had ever imagined. As they waited for further instructions, Ethan stared out of the window at the vast emptiness beyond. The stars seemed to shine a little brighter, or perhaps it was just his imagination. Somewhere out there, an unknown power had appeared, a force that no one could explain. And in that moment, Ethan realized that the galaxy had just become a much stranger, much more dangerous place. And somehow, humans were at the center of it. No one knew who, or what, had destroyed the alien fleet. No one could explain the energy, the speed, or the power. And yet somehow the humans had survived, small and seemingly insignificant, in a galaxy suddenly much larger than they had ever known. For the first time they understood that their lives, their choices, and their ingenuity might matter more than anyone had ever imagined. The calm of space was gone. The Empire was panicking, and the humans, unaware of their own potential, were about to change everything. The humans were led through the bright corridors of the Empire station. Every step echoed softly against the smooth metal floor. Captain Ethan Clark kept his eyes on the walls, alert to every movement. He knew the Empire was powerful and any mistake could be dangerous. Beside him, Lieutenant Megan Lewis and Engineer Noah Brooks followed quietly, their expressions tense. They were brought into a large room filled with holographic displays. The projections floated in the air, showing images of the destroyed alien fleet in the surrounding space. The room was filled with scanners, computers, and strange instruments Ethan had never seen before. Holographic maps of energy flows and weapon systems flickered above the floor. Dr. Morris explained the procedure. "We need to scan the ship and your bodies. We are trying to understand the energy you encountered." Ethan glanced at Megan and Noah. "We agreed to cooperate, but remember, we had nothing to do with the destruction." Noah nodded. "I'm fine with scans, but if they ask us to explain something we don't understand, we can only tell the truth." The scientists examined the Aurora first. They walked around the ship, touching the hull with scanners and studying every panel, wire, and component. Ethan and his crew watched silently. Megan noticed the scientists seemed surprised at the simplicity of some systems. "These humans, their ship is basic," one scientist whispered. "Yet the energy readings we collected from the fleet match something here, but I don't understand it." Ethan caught the words. "What do you mean?" he asked. Dr. Morris looked up, her expression thoughtful. "We don't understand it ourselves. The energy spikes recorded near the fleet match patterns in your ship's power systems, but your systems are not capable of this level of destruction." Megan frowned. "Then it wasn't us. Whatever it was, it happened on its own." The scientist nodded slowly. "That is what makes this more fascinating and frightening. If your ship can produce these effects unintentionally, we may be witnessing something new, something beyond our records." Meanwhile, the Empire officers watched with a mix of fear and admiration. Humans had always been considered minor players in galactic affairs, simple and limited in technology. But these three humans, in a small old ship, survived where massive fleets failed. Admiral Lane called Ethan back to the main command room.
Captain Clark, do you realize what this means? The fleet that attacked your sector was one of the largest we have encountered in decades.
Yet it was destroyed without our involvement.
Ethan swallowed. "Sir, I understand."
But we didn't do it. We have no weapons capable of such power. Lane's voice softened slightly. "I know. But the result is the same. Something associated with humanity caused a force the Empire cannot explain. That alone is remarkable." Megan and Noah entered the room. "We need answers," Megan said. "We don't know what caused it either." "No one does," the Admiral admitted. "That is why we need to study you. Not to punish, but to understand. Humanity may have a role in the galaxy we never expected."
The humans were placed in quarters while scientists worked.
The rooms were simple, white, and quiet. Ethan, Megan, and Noah sat together discussing the situation.
"We need to be careful," Ethan said. "They are curious, but that can become dangerous if they think we are a threat." Megan nodded.
I know, but they also seem impressed, maybe even afraid.
Noah laughed softly. "Afraid?
Really? We're just normal people with a normal ship."
The aliens didn't even give us a chance to do anything." Ethan shook his head. "It doesn't matter. Something about us or our ship triggered that destruction. They don't know what it is, and that makes them nervous." That night, the humans slept little. Every sound from the corridor made them tense. They had no way of knowing who they could trust. Yet despite the fear, there was a strange sense of excitement. For the first time, they felt that humans might be capable of more than anyone had imagined. The next day, scientists returned with more questions. They had run simulations on the Aurora systems. "Captain Clark," Dr. Morris began, "we believe that your ship's navigation system, combined with the energy core, may have unintentionally created a field of extreme energy. We cannot predict or control it, but it matches the energy patterns recorded at the fleet's destruction."
Ethan frowned.
"So, you're saying we accidentally destroyed the fleet?" Dr. Moore shook her head. "Not intentionally, but somehow the energy flowed through space in a way that caused complete destruction. If we could understand it, it would be a powerful asset." Megan looked worried.
"You mean it could be dangerous, And we don't even know how it happened.
No, Dr. Morris said. That is exactly the problem. It is unpredictable. But your instinct and decision-making may have guided the energy. There is something about humans we do not yet understand. The humans were left alone again. Ethan paced the room. We need to figure this out ourselves. If the Empire thinks we can control this, they may want to use us. Or worse. Noah sat on the edge of the bed. And if we can't control it, what then? Do we become weapons by accident? Megan placed a hand on his shoulder. We'll figure it out, together. But right now, we need to be honest and careful. That's all we can do. Over the next few days, the humans were studied in different ways. Scientists recorded their behavior, scanned their ship, and ran simulations. They noticed patterns in decision-making, creativity, and quick adaptation that no machine could replicate. Admiral Lane returned to speak with them. Captain Clark, your crew has demonstrated an ability to act in situations our ships cannot handle. Humans think differently. They adapt quickly, improvise, and survive. That may be the reason the fleet was destroyed. Ethan looked surprised. So, you're saying it was our thinking, not the ship itself? Lane nodded.
Partially.
The ship's energy field may have caused the destruction, but your decisions, your timing, your instincts, they guided it. Humanity has qualities the Empire has never measured. That is what makes you dangerous and valuable. Megan swallowed hard. Dangerous?
We didn't even do anything on purpose. How can that be dangerous? The galaxy fears the unknown, Lane said simply.
And you are unknown. Noah's face lit up. So, we're famous? Ethan rolled his eyes, but he felt a small smile.
Infamous, maybe. Famous is dangerous in space. That evening, the humans looked out the station's viewport. The stars were quiet again, calm and distant. But the sense of calm was false. Something had changed in the galaxy. Humans had survived. Humans had witnessed destruction. And humans, by instinct, courage, and quick thinking, had shown the Empire something new. Ethan whispered, "The galaxy doesn't know it yet, but we've changed it, and I don't think it will ever be the same." Megan and Noah nodded silently, understanding the weight of their situation. They were no longer ordinary humans on the edge of space. They were a force that the Empire could not fully understand. And somewhere out there, other powers, aliens, enemies, perhaps even allies, would soon take notice. The humans sat quietly, watching the stars. The future was uncertain, dangerous, and thrilling. For the first time, they felt the strange pride of knowing that humanity, small and simple as it was, could survive in ways no one had predicted. And far across the galaxy, the destroyed alien fleet was already becoming a legend. Not for the Empire's glory, but because humans, normal humans, had been there, in the center of it all, without even realizing their own power. The humans had been at the Empire station for several days. Every morning they were called to a new test or simulation. Ethan Clark, Megan Lewis, and Noah Brooks had grown used to the routine, but each challenge felt different. The Empire wanted to understand how humans thought, how they acted, and what had caused the destruction of the alien fleet. Ethan sat in the observation room, watching a simulation of a fleet battle. Holographic ships moved in formation across a glowing map of space. Empire officers tapped controls, changing positions, firing weapons, and testing strategies. The humans were asked to advise. Megan frowned. This is so rigid. All of these movements are pre-planned. There's no room for creativity. It's like the ships are moving according to rules, not thinking.
Ethan nodded. That's what makes it different for us.
We think in real time. We adapt. Noah leaned forward. We don't follow rules if they don't make sense. We improvise. That's probably why we survived. A senior officer, Commander Talbot, approached. Captain Clark, can you give us a better solution for this simulation? Our fleet has failed in this scenario every time. Perhaps your human intuition can help. Ethan studied the holographic battle carefully. The Empire ships were moving in straight lines, predictable and controlled, waiting for enemy attacks. The alien ships in the simulation were faster and more flexible. "We need to break the patterns," Ethan said finally. "Your ships are predictable. If we move in unexpected ways, the enemy can be confused. We can use decoys, fast small ships, and hit weak points rather than follow the fleet as a whole." Talbot raised an eyebrow.
Explain. Megan leaned in.
"If the small ships separate from the main fleet, the enemy will chase them. That opens gaps. Then the larger ships can strike from unexpected angles. The attack is not about strength. It's about surprise and timing." Noah added, "And your weapon systems don't have to be powerful. Just use smartly. We can create chaos without heavy losses." The Empire officers murmured among themselves. They had never thought this way. Their strategies relied on raw power, perfect timing, and calculations, not instinct and creativity.
All right,
Commander Talbot said.
"We will try it, Captain Clark. Lead the exercise." The humans were given control of the simulation.
Ethan directed the ships. Megan calculated paths and timing, and Noah suggested unconventional maneuvers. Within minutes, the holographic fleet of aliens was surrounded, disoriented, and defeated. The Empire officers stared in disbelief. "Impossible," one muttered.
"This strategy should not work with our ships." Ethan shrugged. "It's not about the ships.
It's about how you use them. Humans think differently." The Admiral entered the room. "So this is what I feared, and what I hoped. Humans do not rely on rigid rules. They adapt. They improvise. That may explain what happened to the fleet near your sector." Megan whispered to Ethan, "Do you think they understand that we didn't even mean to destroy it?" Ethan shook his head. "They may never know. But we have to be careful. Knowledge like this can be dangerous in the wrong hands." The next days were filled with more tests. The Empire provided small craft, advanced weapons, and simulation challenges. Each time the humans performed better than expected. They solved problems quickly, made decisions that no algorithm could predict, and improvised tactics that seemed reckless but worked perfectly. At one point, the humans were given a puzzle involving a fleet trapped in an asteroid field. The Empire fleet had never passed the field without heavy losses and simulations. Ethan studied the problem carefully. "Most will try to go straight through," he said. "That's predictable. The enemy can plan for that. We go around, use the terrain, hide small groups, and let the enemy waste energy on chasing illusions. Then we strike." Megan mapped the paths on the hologram, and Noah suggested variations. When they executed the plan, the trapped fleet escaped without a single loss, and the enemy fleet was neutralized. The Empire officers were amazed. "They think in ways our computers cannot predict," one said. "Their intuition guides them, not just logic." Admiral Lane studied the humans quietly. "This is why humanity may be more than we thought. They are not just survivors. They are adapters, innovators, and problem solvers in ways the galaxy has not seen." While the humans worked with the Empire fleet, they also learned about the Empire's culture and rules. The Empire was strict, controlled, and proud. Officers valued order, precision, and rules above all else. Humans, by contrast, relied on creativity, instinct, and flexibility. One afternoon, Ethan, Megan, and Noah were asked to lead a simulation against the Empire's most advanced AI defense system. The system was designed to predict enemy moves and counter them perfectly. Most Empire ships failed every time.
"This is going to be impossible," Commander Talbot said.
The AI has never been defeated. Ethan studied the control panels. "We don't try to defeat it directly. We confuse it. We move unpredictably, use irregular timing, and create multiple threats at once. The AI calculates what it expects to happen, not what actually happens." Megan smiled. "It's like playing chess, but we make our moves at random. The AI can't predict randomness."
Noah laughed.
"Or at least it tries too hard and fails." The humans began the exercise. The AI predicted their first moves and adjusted the defense. Ethan quickly ordered a sudden change. Megan split the forces into 3 small groups, and Noah directed one group to a completely different path. The AI faltered. The humans continued to improvise, changing directions, creating false attacks, and exploiting gaps in the defense. Within minutes, the AI fleet was overwhelmed. It had miscalculated at every step, unable to adapt to the humans' flexibility. The Empire officers were speechless. Admiral Lane stepped forward, his eyes shining with respect and unease. "This is extraordinary. Humans are not just clever. They are unpredictable, adaptive, and courageous. They can succeed where our best machines fail." Ethan felt a mix of pride and caution. "Sir, remember, we don't always understand how it works ourselves. Sometimes we just act instinctively."
Exactly, Lane said. And that instinct may be the most valuable thing in the galaxy.
"You represent a kind of power the Empire has never controlled or recorded." The humans were not just tested physically or tactically. Scientists and officers studied their behavior, asking them questions about decision-making, risk-taking, and problem-solving. They were fascinated by the humans' ability to remain calm under pressure, to assess situations quickly, and to act decisively even without complete information.
Megan realized something important. They want to understand how we think so they can use it.
"If we give them all the answers, they might try to control us." Ethan nodded. "We have to be careful."
They respect our skills, but respect can turn into control very quickly. Noah shrugged. I like showing them we can do things they can't.
"Makes me feel powerful." One evening, the humans were allowed to return to the Aurora for a short time. The ship felt small but familiar, a place of freedom compared to the strict halls of the Empire Station. Ethan stood at the console looking at the stars. "We are changing how the Empire sees humans," he said softly. "They are impressed, maybe even afraid. And yet, we are still small. Small but important." Megan joined him. "Do you think they will try to use us as weapons?" Ethan thought for a moment.
They might.
But we can't let that happen.
Our power is in our choices, our thinking, our freedom. That's what makes us dangerous. Not the ship, not the weapons. Us.
Noah leaned against the wall. I never thought being human could be so useful. The next day the humans were summoned again.
This time the Empire had prepared a real-world test. A fleet of simulated alien ships would attack, and the humans had to defend a convoy. Unlike the holographic exercises, this test used real ships and weapons. Ethan took command. Megan coordinated movements, and Noah monitored the energy systems of the Aurora. The human strategies were unconventional, using surprise, misdirection, and split forces. The alien fleet was confused, falling into traps, and unable to anticipate human decisions. When the battle ended, not a single ship from the convoy was lost. The Empire officers were stunned. "This should be impossible," Commander Talbot shouted. "Every tactic we tried in simulations failed, yet humans succeeded." Admiral Lane walked quietly among the observers. He looked at Ethan, Megan, and Noah with a thoughtful expression. "Humans do not fight like machines. They do not fight like the Empire expects. That is why they survive. That is why they win. And that may be the future of the galaxy." The humans stood together on the bridge of the Aurora, looking out at the stars. They had proven themselves to the Empire, shown their ingenuity, and survived challenges no one else could. But they also understood something important. Their power was not in their weapons or technology. It was in their minds, their instincts, and their choices. The galaxy had taken notice, and soon everyone, from the Empire to the farthest alien systems, would realize that humans were not to be underestimated. For Ethan, Megan, and Noah, the future was still uncertain, filled with danger, mystery, and opportunity. But one thing was clear. Humanity had shown that even the smallest beings could change the fate of fleets, battles, and entire worlds. And far beyond the Empire, somewhere in the darkness of space, others were watching. Others who had underestimated humans before would soon learn a hard truth. Humans were clever, adaptable, and unpredictable. And that made them unstoppable. The Empire Station was quieter than usual. The long halls that were once filled with hurried officers and flashing alerts now felt calm. But the calm was not peaceful. It was heavy, full of thought and worry. News of the human-led simulations had spread quickly through the Empire. Fleet commanders, scientists, and politicians all spoke in low voices about the same thing. Humans. Captain Ethan Clark stood on the bridge of the Aurora, looking at the main screen. The stars drifted slowly as the ship remained docked. Megan Lewis stood beside him, arms crossed, her face serious. Noah Brooks worked at a side console checking the ship's systems for the 10th time that day.
They haven't called us in hours, Noah said. That's never a good sign. Ethan nodded.
They're deciding what to do with us, Megan sighed. I don't like being a decision.
Before anyone could say more, the console chimed.
A message appeared from Empire Command. Captain Clark, you and your crew are requested at the Central Council chamber immediately. The walk to the chamber felt longer than before. Guards stood at every corner, watching the humans closely. Not with anger, but with caution. When the doors opened, Ethan saw a large circular room filled with Empire leaders. Admiral Victor Lane stood at the center. Captain Clark, Lane said, his voice calm but firm. Thank you for coming. Ethan inclined his head. Admiral. Lane gestured for them to stand before the council. The Empire has reached a conclusion. Your actions, intentional or not, have changed the balance of power in this region of the galaxy. Megan spoke carefully. We never meant to cause harm. We only did what we thought was right.
We know,
Lane replied. And that is part of the problem. Humans act without waiting for permission, without full data. And yet, you succeed. A council member stepped forward. The alien fleet you destroyed was preparing to attack 3 core systems. Millions of lives were saved. By accident or instinct, you did what our fleets could not. Noah blinked. So, explained like that, it sounds good. Another council member added, but power without control is dangerous. We must decide whether humanity is a risk or an ally. The room fell silent. Ethan took a deep breath. We don't want to be weapons. We don't want to rule anyone. We just want to live, explore, and protect ourselves if needed. Lane studied him.
That answer alone proves our point. You seek freedom, not domination.
That makes you different from most powers in this galaxy.
After a long pause, Lane spoke again.
The Empire will not detain you. We will not attempt to control you. Instead, we offer an alliance. Megan's eyes widened.
An alliance? Yes, Lane said. Humans will remain independent.
But when threats arise that our records cannot explain, when our strategies fail, we will ask for your help, not as tools, as partners. Noah smiled. That sounds fair. Ethan nodded slowly. We accept. On one condition. Lane raised an eyebrow. Name it. You do not force human thinking into your systems, Ethan said. You don't turn us into programs or rules. We stay human. Lane smiled slightly. Agreed. The meeting ended with quiet respect. As the humans left the chamber, word spread quickly. Humanity was no longer a minor species. They were allies of the Empire, back on the Aurora. The crew prepared for departure. Empire sensors confirmed it. The unknown threat was gone. Back at the station, the reaction was not panic this time. It was awe. They didn't overpower it, an officer said. They outthought it. Admiral Lane watched the Aurora return. This is the future, he said softly. Not bigger weapons, better minds. The humans were welcomed back as heroes, but they did not stay long. They repaired the Aurora and prepared to leave again. Megan looked out at the stars. Do you think we did the right thing? Ethan nodded. We stayed human. That's always the right thing. Noah smiled. And we scared the galaxy just enough. As the Aurora jumped into the unknown, stories spread across the stars of a small human ship, of a species that did not follow records or rules, of humans who faced the impossible and found a way. The Empire no longer panicked at the unknown, because now when something was not in their records, they had a name for it: humanity.
Admiral Victor Lane stood at the center, looking more frustrated than before. Around him were several officers and scientists, all staring at the humans with suspicion.
Sit, the Admiral said sharply. Ethan, Megan, and Noah took their seats at a long table.
The humans were small and simple in appearance compared to the grand uniforms and shining decorations of the Empire officers, but their calm eyes held a quiet confidence. Admiral Lane started with questions.
"How did you destroy the fleet?" Ethan shook his head. "We didn't destroy anything. We only saw it happen. We were nearby, but we had no weapons that could do this."
The Admiral frowned. "Then how do you explain the energy readings? The fleet disappeared in seconds. Nothing in our records can account for it. You were the only ship close enough to observe."
You must have some knowledge we do not.
Megan leaned forward. "Sir, I swear, we didn't fire a shot. The sensors on the Aurora show energy spikes, but we don't understand them. It wasn't anything we controlled."
Noah added, "The ship, it's old."
"I've been working on it for years. We've made some small upgrades, but nothing powerful. Nothing like what you're describing." The Admiral studied them for a long moment. His fingers tapped nervously on the table. "Yet somehow, you survived it. And the fleet did not. That is what worries me. If humans have abilities we cannot explain, that could change everything." Ethan's heart skipped a beat. He had expected suspicion, maybe even threats, but he did not expect the Admiral to speak like this, almost afraid. A scientist, Dr. Helena Morris, stepped forward. "Admiral, we need to study them carefully. Their ship, their crew, anything could reveal how this happened. It might be technology, or it could be something else."
"Do it,"
Lane said. "But make sure they are safe. For now, we need their cooperation." The humans were taken to a special laboratory. Megan ran her hand along the wall. "I never thought this ship would carry this much weight." Noah laughed. "She's still the same old ship, just with a reputation now." As the Aurora undocked, Empire ships moved aside to give it space, a sign of respect. Ethan guided the ship into open space, stars stretching ahead. But the Galaxy was not done testing them. An emergency signal burst onto the screen. A distant colony was under attack, not by a fleet, but by something unknown. Sensors showed ships vanishing without explosions. No wreckage. Just gone. Empire Command contacted them immediately. "Captain Clark, we need your help." Ethan looked at Megan and Noah. They nodded. "We're on our way," Ethan said. As the Aurora jumped through space, the crew worked fast. Megan studied the data. "This isn't like the fleet we saw before. This feels different." Noah frowned. "The energy patterns are strange, almost like space itself is folding." They arrived and saw it, a massive shape in the darkness, barely visible. It was not a ship in the normal sense. It moved like a shadow, bending light and space around it. Ethan swallowed. "That's not in anyone's records." The shadow moved toward the colony. Ethan did not wait for orders.
"Megan, distracted. Noah, reroute all power to navigation."
"What are you planning?" Megan asked. "Something risky," Ethan replied. "Something human." The Aurora darted forward, not attacking but moving in sharp, unpredictable patterns. The shadow followed, confused. Megan adjusted the course constantly, never repeating a move. Noah pushed the systems past safe limits. "Now!" Ethan shouted. Noah triggered a sudden jump, not through space, but sideways through the strange energy field. The Aurora tore through the distortion, dragging the shadow with it. There was a flash, then silence. The shadow vanished. The Aurora emerged, damaged but intact. The colony was safe.